The Switch is the console for modern Otome games, harboring most of the must-plays and classics, from beginner-friendly to dark and steamy Otome games, and even cheap and indie games. Whichever kind of Otome game you prefer, I'm sure you will find something that you like. Code Realize was one of the first Otome games ported to the Switch, and is for many people their favorite Otome game to date, especially with the 2 fan discs and some sweet sugar content. The story begins with the main character, Kadia, isolated and alone in a mansion on the outskirts of a 19th century steampunk version of London. With her blood a virulent poison and her touch instantly lethal, Kadia is shunned as a monster. Through a number of events, Kadia is pursued by the Royal Guard, kidnapped by the gentleman thief Arsène Lupin, and other handsome figures out of the Western literature. With her newfound friends and suitors, Kadia ventures out in the world to unravel her mysteries surrounding her very existence. CollarxMalice is another all-time classic that got some people by surprise with its dark turns, controversial characters and discussions about justice. And this game as well also has a fan disc called CollarxMalice Unlimited for more story and of course more romantic scenes. As a young police officer, you must save a city under siege. A terrorist organization's brutal attack has left you fitted with a deadly souvenir, a poisonous collar that could end your life at any moment. With time running out, 5 strangers offer their help, but which of them can you trust? And will you be able to escape a fatal disaster? Piofiore takes place 1925 in Italy, in a city ruled by 3 mafia families. The MC becomes entangled in their struggle, finding out she is actually the center of their war. The game is famous for its violence, but also for its romance. There are few characters as infamous as Young, and what really stands out is that dating mafia guys doesn't paint a world in black and white. You are dating criminals. They are not always nice, but rather act violently. But who can live with controversial allies and a lot of blood can surely find enjoyment in dating these charming criminals. And in fall 2022, also the sequel of this very famous game will reach the West. In the sequel you can either experience what happens after each character route, and in the story Alternativa, there's a new threat to Boulogne our mafia guys have to work together against in order to prevent a huge disaster. This game is a sequel, which means unlike a fan disc, it doesn't solely focus on romance, but also tells a new story. I will make a review soon, but so far it seems to me actually more plot heavy than the first part. What is kind of unfortunate for me as a romance lover, but definitely has the gorgeous Piofiore art and the usual gore like torture and a lot of death endings. Olympia's Soiree is set on an island with a strict color hierarchy, and the only left white Olympia has to marry to continue her important lineage. Brought up sheltered, she not only has to find a husband, but also find herself in this colorful, romantic and steamy coming-of-age story. This game definitely deals with some heavy topics like violence and discrimination, and has overall a tragic tone. Nevertheless, I think people can't help but feel enchanted by its tragic yet heartfelt story. Birushane Senki is coming to the West in June 2022. 15 years after the Heiji rebellion, the Heike clan has reached the height of its power, while the Genji clan remains devastated by defeat. Hidden deep within the mountains of Kurama lives Shanao, the youngest surviving heir to the Genji name. However, Shanao harbors a deep secret known by very few. She is a girl. Torn between her duty to live up to the Genji family name and her desire to live a peaceful life, Shanao sets off in hopes to take down the Heike stronghold and finally bring peace to the country. Her adventure leads her to find new cherished relationships, as well as something deeper than the feud between the rivaling clans. In order to pursue your ally, you not only have to rise his affection, but also balance your stats. The game got positive reviews and even has a fan disc in Japan. If you like historical settings like Hakuoki and don't mind a lot of battle scenes that come at cost of fewer romantic scenes with tragic and bittersweet endings, then Birushane is the game for you. And very surprisingly, we got an Amnesia bundle on the Switch, including Amnesia Memories and the 2 fan discs, Later and Crowd, coming in fall 2022. Waking up with no memories in either of the 4 alternative worlds, the heroine must find out what happened to her, balance her stats to find out who she can trust and who is deceiving her. In each world, you are together with one of the 4 love interests. The story is filled with suspense about the mystery around your amnesia, and because you never knew whom to trust, and with every character playthrough, the cards on the table turn. This game was for many people one of their first Otome games, and that is why fans are very happy to finally see a Switch port, including even the fan discs. In Amnesia later, you will experience sweet scenes and relationship development until the couple marries. Amnesia Crowd, on the other hand, consists of working minigames, a suspense route where you unravel another mystery resembling the first game, and a love route that takes place after Amnesia later with typical fan disc stuff like pure romantic scenes. And that means finally a kissy G for everybody. Also announced for 2022 is Even If Tempest. It's Voltage's first fully voiced full-price game. The heroine, who led a life of despair and regret, was revived by a witch of ruin, who bestows upon her the ability of Fatal Rewind, to rewind time. And with this ability she gets a second chance in life. How will she use it? And will she bring even more despair upon the world? What are the witch's goals? This game will certainly tell a very dark story, with a lot of violence and dark secrets. On top of that thrilling story will come gameplay elements, like the Fatal Rewind, but especially the witch's trials that are like a Danganronpa-like werewolf game. For a more detailed analysis about what we know so far, definitely watch my analysis and expectations video. Bustafellows feels a lot like a crime novel, where you get entangled with a quirky cast of characters who execute their own justice. You play as a young woman with the ability to leap in the past for a very short period in the bodies of others, which you use for data collection and helping people. After witnessing the murder of a crooked lawyer, you go back in time in attempt to save him. And so our voiced heroine gets entangled with this kind of criminal organization. Bustafellows is not the most romantic Otome game though. Big parts of the game focus on the crime and mystery elements, and only the few last chapters of each route are actually romantic. Cupid Parasite is one of my personal favorite Otome games. In the trend-setting metropolis Los York, our MC works as a bridal advisor, because her true identity is the goddess Cupid, and she wants to convince her father Mars that humans don't even need her godly help to fall in love. And she sees this point as proven if she is able to matchmake the Parasite 5. 5 guys with the weirdest quirks no one, literally no one, would want to marry. One is hung up on his past love, one can't shut up about his hobby, one can't see ugly people, one is too busy to even meet women, and one is only interested in women who already are in a relationship. But then Cupid gets too close, trying to matchmake them, and falls in love herself, finding out, despite being the goddess of love, she doesn't know much about love herself. And I love this game because of its stunning 50s art style and music. And though the game is lighthearted and character-driven in general, most of the routes also have a silly fantasy story. And I don't know anyone who didn't love this game. It's cute, happy and absurd. An absolute must-play if you ask me. Winter's Wish, or Kimiyuki, coming in 2023, can be described as a classical Otome game. In 1716, in response to repeated monster attacks on the town of Edo, the Tokugawa shogunate establishes the Oniwa-ban, a secret group tasked with keeping the monsters under control and maintaining peace in the city. 11 years later, a girl born with a special power of seeing calamity in a village far from Edo has been driven out into the snowy mountains by the terrified townspeople. Then, one day, men claiming to be members of the mysterious Oniwa-ban appear before her, saying she's needed in Edo. Soon the girl's power, which previously only brought her misfortune, will become an invaluable asset to the Oniwa-ban and their efforts against the monsters. You play as a shunned shy girl, and the allies give you a second chance. The game has many fighting scenes, which are balanced by sweet romantic scenes. But sadly, there are quite some mediocre reviews, criticizing the pacing and that the game doesn't know what it wants to be, as it tries to balance sincere scenes with cute and even funny scenes. But what for me personally stands out about this game is the pretty art and gorgeous music. But of course, it's sad to hear if the story is dragging or had slight inconsistencies even, and was only tied together by the true route, while the other routes felt rather self-contained. But still, I think if you want a historical Otome game or something with a winter topic, that it could be a nice and relaxing Otome game. Dairoku Ayakashi Mori, Agents of Sakuratani, is a fluffy character-driven romance where the MC has to put up with the weirdest Ayakashi you could imagine. Ever since she could remember, Aksys has had the ability to see what others couldn't: spirits, apparitions, and indescribable creatures. As an adult, this talent leads her to join a secret government agency. Her assignment is with the 6th Special Preventions Office, and her job is to monitor the powerful beings who travel between her world and the worlds beyond. Neither does this game have a deep nor long story, but it solely focuses on character interactions. Reviews are a bit mediocre because there's really nothing more to this light-hearted, character-driven game. In Variable Barricade, you play as a voiced tsundere heroine, who is a member of a prestigious family and heiress to a fortune. She then learns that her eccentric grandfather is determined to find her husband. He arranges to house her in a luxurious villa, along with 4 handsome, hand-picked bachelors and her private butler. But she quickly finds out that her grandfather surely has a strange taste in men, choosing a guy who attempted marriage fraud, a debtor, a gambling addict, and a gold digger. Similar to Cupid Parasite, you initially don't want to date any of these guys at all, and one is worse than the other. But already in the common route, you discover they're not half as bad, and you can surely have some fun with this voiced tsundere heroine. For me, this game was quite hilarious, though some of the angst felt a bit misplaced. So overall, I think it's a very good, character-driven game, but couldn't quite convince me. Love or Pretend will come to the Switch in fall 2022. Chiyuki is a college student with dreams. 1, to become a scriptwriter like her late mother, and 2, to find her father, whom she's never met. Living alone with no romantic experience whatsoever, Chiyuki struggles with writing stories about love. But one day, on the hunt for clues for the identity of her father, Chiyuki learns that he may have been involved in the production of a romantic drama based on a script her mother wrote before she was born. In a stroke of luck, Chiyuki lands a job as an assistant for an upcoming film working with the sons of the former star from her mother's soap opera. So you can either romance a cold actor, a flirty model, the charming childhood friend, or the otaku assistant, while you search for clues about your father. What is special about this game is the pretend time, where you have to convince people in time choices to believe your lies. I'm personally not really fond of a mechanic that involves lying, but you can check out more details in my review about Love or Pretend. The localization of JackJeanne for 2023 was just recently announced and is special for many reasons. The game story centers around the protagonist Kisa Tachibana, a girl who had given up a career in theater, but receives an invitation to attend an elite drama school for male actors, where students play female roles, referred to as Jeanne roles, in addition to male roles, Jack roles. However, to maintain her enrollment, she must land a starring role in the school's play at the end of the year, and also hide the fact that she is a girl. The MC is voiced, and I think it's the first Otome game in the Western market with gameplay elements, because you have to play rhythm minigames. But I was told the difficulty is nothing to worry about, you can adjust the difficulty to your liking, and overall you don't need a perfect score to continue the game. As the game was announced, there was a short confusion whether this is an Otome game because it was not explicitly marketed as such. But yes, it's a visual novel where you can romance guys, which makes it an Otome game. It's just, of course, that they think you're a boy. So you don't have the classical romantic scenes, but rather see a development from friendship and then turning into love. And it's really the character development, the focus of this light-hearted game. Café Enchantée took many players by surprise. When Kotone inherits her grandfather's Tokyo Café, she discovers the shop holds more secrets than anyone could imagine. The café is a meeting place for beings from multiple mystical worlds. You'll meet the king of demons, a humanoid beast, a fallen angel, and many more. And when government agents monitoring non-human activities show up at your door, your new café is about to become a lot more colorful. Starting out as a cute café game, the character roots are filled with angst and tragedy. But I think this is actually one of the few games that manages to balance the lighter and darker scenes without them feeling out of place. So if you like tragic backstories in a colorful fantasy universe, you will quickly grow to like this game and its lovable characters. Also like this list? Then consider to like, subscribe or share so more people can get into Otome games. Paradigm Paradox, coming in fall 2022, is another game out of the ordinary. 500 years in the future, the world as we know it has become inhabitable. The remaining humans live in colonies, artificial environments surrounded by looming walls and a simulated sky. But rumor has it, if you're out past curfew, you may cross paths with a deadly monster. One day, high schooler Yuki finds herself outside after curfew and face to face with a horrific monster known as a Vector, but is saved by 4 female superheroes and is invited to join their cause and protect the colony from the Vector threat. but there's more to these girls than meets the eye. And that also applies to the game that has two very interesting features. One is that there are hero and villain allies, and depending on which side you pick, the story will progress differently. But of course, the world is not always black and white. The other special feature is the gender bender aspect. Because in the fight against the monsters, the boys turn into magical girls. Yes, you heard correctly. For big chunks of the game, you talk to their girl appearance. This might also be the reason why romance falls a bit short in this game, but it's actually focused on a heavy plot with dark turns. In Ayakashi Koi Gikyoku, you are invited to a concert by the boy band Fox Ears, but as soon as they start playing, your family pendant begins to glow and you fall unconscious. As you wake up, you are surrounded by the members of the band, who are actually fox spirits and try to take this pendant from you. But as soon as they try, the pendant starts glowing again. Unable to take the pendant by force, they decide to make you fall for them. Who will you trust the pendant to? Though the voice cast of this short game is quite impressive, the rest is not. So more a sweet little game in between big Otome titles. My Bewitching Perfume seems like a machine translated title where you make the guys fall for you with your perfume. In Byokatoi Samurai, you secretly go to an all-boys fighting school. Princess Closet is another game with gorgeous voice actors but a mediocre story, where you suddenly find yourself casted as a model and your world turned upside down by the showbiz and the allies you encounter. Diamond Girl is a bad port of the unvoiced mobile game, where you find out you're a rich heiress and now have to be trained how to become a lady living together with the allies. Yume Midori Nostalgia, your grandmother told you following a butterfly will guide you to your soulmate. So on one fateful summer day you do exactly that, but find yourself in the red light district of the Taisho era and search together with Ikki's and Gilbert's voice actor a way back. The following indie games are by English developers with a smaller budget, so something if you feel like a change of pace after all the Japanese romance. In Akash you can romance your 5 classmates, navigate the conflict between 2 war-torn races as you plan the greatest coming-of-age ceremony for yourself, a girl with elemental powers. In Nicole you start your first semester in college just to witness how students get abducted and return with no memory of it. In the visual novel mode of this game you can skip the stat raising and directly romance the guys. In Autumn's Journey, the voiced MC helps a transformed dragon learn about her race and find out how to return him back. In C14 Dating, you are an anthropology student on a trip to excavate some bones, or fall deep in love with an extremely diverse cast of characters. Cinders tells a Cinderella story, but with a stronger emphasis on proactive characters. In Roommates, you can take the role of the male or female protagonist and romance your fellow students. Arcade Spirits revives the good old arcade times, where you can nostalgically romance a diverse cast of characters. Okay, cheated. That weren't all Otome games. You still have to watch this video for hidden gems and this video for an introduction about Voltage games.